An unprecedented decision regarding college athletics involves Texas Tech, and it has plenty of people talking across the country about what this could mean moving forward.
KCBD News Channel 11's Dylan Villa joins us live from outside the Jones to tell us more on the decision made by Judge Ken Curry today regarding quarterback Brendan Sorsby's eligibility. Dylan?
Yeah, Karen and Abner, Judge Curry has decided to grant quarterback Brendan Sorsby his temporary injunction, paving the way for him to play most of the 2026 season for Texas Tech. Quite frankly, we've never seen something like this on this scale in any sport, and it's raising concerns about why rules are even in place if athletes can just decide to go over the NCAA's proverbial head and take matters like this to the courts. Let's first go over what Sorsby was found of doing at his time in Indiana real quick. The NCAA found in 2022 that he had made 40 bets on Indiana football and wagered $90,000 in various bets for professional and college sports over the last 4 years. In his injunction order today, Judge Curry believed Sorsby would have suffered irreparable injury if he were unable to play this season because he wouldn't be able to benefit from what a Division I football program can provide for him and build the skills necessary to maximize his own success. Sorsby will have to follow some conditions as part of this order, the biggest being he will not play the first 2 games of the 2026 season. Those are against Abilene Christian and Oregon State. Sorsby will also have to continue seeking counseling for his gambling disorder and must provide monthly compliance to the NCAA. Now, here are a few reactions from across the country. Sorsby released a statement earlier today saying he's grateful for the support that he has received during this process and will have the opportunity to grow as part of this experience. His lead attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, told ESPN that this is a just result and reiterated what he told me last week, that this decision will not hurt the competitive integrity of the game. The NCAA, they're saying otherwise. President Charlie Baker saying, quote, "When you have schools and deep-pocketed supporters willing to look the other way on the glaring integrity threat of betting on your own team, and judges whose rulings effectively strip away our ability to stop them, only Congress can equip the NCAA to apply this common-sense rule to everyone fairly and consistently." Now, the NCAA has denied Texas Tech's appeal for reinstatement on Friday, so they were certainly not expecting this outcome. We don't know the scope of how this will impact college athletics just yet, but it's safe to say it has opened the doors for athletes to take their grievances to the highest level and could open the floodgates for them to potentially break pre-established rules without much consequence potentially. We did learn that the trial for this case is set for the week of February 8th, 2027. Interesting to note, that would be 2 weeks after the national championship game. We'll have much more coverage coming on here at 10 o'clock tonight. Karen and Abner, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Dylan.